Welcome to the Senior View. And today we have a very special program for you, and I hope you sit down and listen to it, okay? We have Officer Schofield and Officer Buckley from the Hopkinton Police Department. And we're going to talk today about senior safety. When you think of it, how many of you have had scam calls? How many of you, maybe have had almost an accident, driving distractions? So they're going to advise us today what to do when it does happen, especially with the scams. Somebody may call you about a bill payment and say, please pay this right away. And you send a check and you say, what's that all about? And it doesn't work out. And you know you've been scammed. That's just one example. So, Officer Buckley, Officer Schofield, would you like to advise us?
Yes, thank you, Mary. It's a pleasure to be here today. We're seeing a lot of scams coming up in Hopkinton and throughout the region. Especially with tax season upon us now, one of the biggest scams we see is the IRS scam. And how it works is a gentleman calls you and they're stating that they're a special agent with the IRS and that you owe back taxes. And they're very convincing people. A lot of times their numbers show up on the phones with an IRS number, so you look it up, you see that, hey, maybe it is the IRS, and geez, maybe I do owe back taxes. They're very convincing, they're threatening you with an arrest, criminal prosecution if you don't pay. What they'll do is usually they'll give you a little bit of time to make payment, to ease you a little bit, and then they'll request you to go to a CVS or Walgreens and buy the prepaid cards. What you do is you're nervous, you're scared, you're not thinking straight. It's a scam. So you'll drive down to CVS, get the cards, then call them back, being in compliance with this federal agent that's threatening you with arrest, and you become a victim. So we're recommending that if you do get the call from the IRS, it's a scam, okay? Any mail from the IRS is usually through the U.S. Postal Service via the letter, anything like that. We're not going to come to your house and arrest you for tax evasion. Okay, just not going to happen. So it's a scam. So just be aware of that, especially in tax season. These people are very good. We've had victims in the past, and people have lost a lot of money, but they're very convincing. So that's one of the big ones, the IRS scam.
Oh.
Yeah. So unfortunately, there's a bunch of them, and with so much technology today, it can be used in a good way, and it can be used in a negative way, but. What some people do is that they'll call and they'll say, kind of as Officer Buckley said about the IRS scam, they do an arrest warrant. That's another one where, they'll call up and they'll pretend to be someone in an official position, from the IRS or the FBI or, whatever it is. And they say, oh yeah, you haven't paid this and we're going to send federal agents to your house and, you're going to be arrested and whatnot. And people, they say, oh, well, pay money over the phone, or yeah, give me your social security number, what you can pay today over the phone or over the internet. And people get scared, they get intimidated, so they give them their information, and it comes across pretty professional. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, it's not. So that kind of goes along with the IRS scam that Officer Buckley was talking about.
Also, we have utility companies out there. Everybody has utility bills, Verizon, Eversource, NStar. These people, what they do is they send you emails that look like the official emails from these companies, and it's off by a letter, a digit, and an email, and you get these emails, and they're convincing. So they're asking you for all sorts of banking information, PIN numbers, your address, social security number, and they're convincing. And they look legit. So you just got to remember, if you're getting any correspondence from any utility companies, phone calls from these companies, they're not calling you unless you're really late for a bill. And then you know that you're late, not paying, so you need to have correspondence with them on your end, not giving them information like bank account numbers, routing numbers. That's what they're looking for to scam you. And it's very prevalent out there. All across the United States, all across Massachusetts, these people are getting scammed. So any utility companies calling you, anything like that. Also, if someone's coming to your house, knocking on the door, don't let these people in, give us a call. These people should not be at your door asking for money, asking for information, account numbers, PIN numbers. It happens. So just don't let anybody in your home. Give us a call. We'll come down and check them out. You know, you get a gut reaction. If someone's at your door asking for money or looking for stuff, it's a gut. This doesn't seem right. If that's the case, give us a call.
Very
know.
good, very good. I'm glad that they can call you.
Yes, give us a
And
call.
if they have made the mistake, and not really a mistake, but they have followed through and sent a check, how can they, you know, once they realize it was a mistake what they did, how can they respond to it? By calling you people?
Yeah, they could.
And then you could help them follow through with how to get
Yeah.
it corrected, or,
Yeah.
you know,
so,
call the electric company, or, you
yeah,
know, whatever.
So pretty much what happens is, well, I'll kind of combine the two here, but there's one that's like a overpayment scam where, you know, someone will send a check in the mail, and unfortunately it can be in a number from, you know, oh, you got $100,000, you know, that you didn't know you were owed from the government. Go and cash it, and unfortunately people go and deposit it, and they'll deposit at the bank, and it looks legitimate. The bank will kind of take it, they'll start processing it, and it'll show up in your account. And then people say, oh, hey, yeah, I'm sorry, that was too much money. You know, if you're in contact with an actual person, can you send me a Western Union, a money, you know, what is it, a money transfer? They're not traceable. And, oh, yeah, well, you know, I need $5,000 in that back. So the person does a, you know, a money transfer via like Western Union or something to this person. It can be a completely bogus name, and now the money comes out of the account, and then a couple days later the bank says, oh yeah, that check, that was actually fraudulent. So there's actually money coming out in the form of cash going to this unknown person, and you know, now and the money was never in the account to begin with. So that's something. But as Officer Buckley was saying before, you know, about utility companies and people showing up at your door, you know, anyone that comes to your house, it's a good, you know, thing to do is to ask for ID. You know, even if it's police officers, sometimes we have people that are plainclothes detectives.
Really?
You know, if someone shows up, you know, you want to make sure that you have, you know, a badge, an ID, something. You know, all these companies, they have IDs for EverSource, you know, National Grid, whatnot. So that's a good thing to check for.
Yes, to touch a little bit on that, we do have a solicitation bylaw in town. So anybody doing door-to-door sales in town should have credentials through the town. We have extensive process to get those credentials with the town. And if someone is selling books or something like that, they register with us, we're aware of it, and then just, if someone comes to your door, ask for the credentials. If they don't have credentials, give us a call. They're subject to a $200 bylaw violation once we come in contact with them, so it helps us if they're out there doing illegal stuff. And then it also helps that people that do it legitimately, selling business and doing it the right way, it gets those guys from coming into town, you know, doing the wrong thing in town. We're very proactive out there, so people know, you know, what towns they can go to and what they can get away with. And absolutely Hopkinton, we don't allow any of that, and we're right on top of them. So
Good.
the word's out there that,
Good.
you know.
Thank you for what
Yeah.
you do.
And we're going to touch base a little bit on identity theft after we get through our scams, and that's another
Yes.
big thing that's hurting the seniors and residents in our town is identity. Not so much in Hopkins, we're a very safe community, but just across the country, you know, it's millions of dollars that we're losing in identity theft. But these scams are good. They're convincing. They're very convincing.
Very.
You know, we do have a lottery scam that we've seen in the past. You know, they send you information that you've won the lottery, and then
I know.
what happens, you think that, you know, if you play Publishers Clearinghouse or you play some of these
Yes.
things, they send you a letter that you won 10 grand and you have to do this. So you think, oh, geez, maybe I won.
Are there scams like on Facebook?
Oh yeah, Facebook, Instagram, all those things. It's scamming. The internet is a big scam area for us. You know, and it's called phishing. What they do is,
Phishing.
yes, they fish for
Okay.
information from you with emails, phone calls, and they may be from this area and working for, if they pick you, Mary, as a victim, they may try and get your email and send you fake websites. They build information on you. Then they call and say, we're a bank. And you give little bits of information, they piece it all together, then you become a victim of fraud or scam or identity theft. You know, and we'll go into some of the prevention of the identity theft after this. But these scams are very prevalent, you know. Calls from the credit card companies. Everybody has credit cards. You know, and you're getting emails from these credit card companies, fake emails, asking for information, saying you're a little behind in can you make a payment? Then they email you back, okay, I made a payment. Then they email you back, well, we didn't get your payment, what's your PIN number, what's this, what's your bank routing number, we'll make a payment for you. And people aren't really thinking out there in the hustle and
That's
bustle,
right.
every day of stress,
That's right.
you know, and all this other stuff, and that people don't sometimes think. And that's why we're out here trying to educate the public about scams, because it's a lot of people have been getting scammed for a lot of money. And it's not much we can do, because a lot of times their IP addresses are out of the country or in Texas, and these people are really losing a lot of money, and there's no way to recoup it, unfortunately. We do an active investigation, but, you know, if the person's in Texas in
That's right.
some apartment somewhere, how do we even know who it is?
Or in another country.
Yeah, like, I mean, one time we had one with the UPS packages. They were getting shipped all around. So they steal someone's identity. They ring up 10,000 in purchases from, say, Amazon, and they keep shipping it around to certain places. So in the case I had, it shipped to Florida, then it shipped to Texas, and then shipped to California. And then I checked and got the mailbox. It was never shipped to Florida. In mid-route, they switched location. So then it was a post office box in Florida. And then we tracked it to California, and we could never figure out who it was. Like, a lot of money.
They must be hard to
like,
catch,
It was
really.
like a
Yeah,
ton, it
very
was like a
hard.
computer,
Oh.
stuff like that, so,
And that's how they make their living.
yeah. In the
Scamming.
computer.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
And
Yes,
it's so hard to
indeed.
find.
Oh,
As Officer Buckley said about the whole phishing thing. So one thing that I've actually personally dealt with you know, people in town with reports is what they'll do is you know, you can get an email from someone that looks like your banking institution. You know, name any bank and maybe do online banking. You know, either through an app or, you know, I believe that there's ways of doing it through email or, you know, say through your work. What they'll do is they'll find out who's in charge of payroll, and they will set up almost an identical email with a name, maybe change one letter, put, you know, a period at the end of a name that usually isn't there, and it'll be from, you know, say it's from your someone at your work. It'll be the same exact email, but it'll be a period at the end of the name. And it's someone that's not legitimate. And they'll say, oh, you know, we got something saying that, you know, we just wanted to verify your account number and your routing number for, you know, we had a discrepancy in our records. And then the person divulges it. And, you know, unfortunately, in this day and age, everything is very fast. You know, people are always in a rush. So, you know, someone sees this email address and it looks like, you know, I know who this person is from my, you know, payroll department at work. And, you know, they tell them, oh, yeah, sorry, we'll confirm my routing number. We'll confirm my bank account number. Oh, that's wonderful. And then they'll transfer that. And they'll have money that should be going to them routed into their account.
Yeah.
And they'll just literally reroute it to some unknown bank account. And that's kind of a way of phishing. And we've seen it more and more around town.
banks must be under a lot of pressure,
Yes.
I would think.
Yes.
You know, where the information is going. You know, is it true or real? You know, if, you know, somebody calls and asks them a question or, you know, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I understand sometimes I've been the person who's had to deal with banks in my personal life, and I understand how it's frustrating. You're on hold forever. You know, there's a lot of security measures, but it's all for a good reason. And because unfortunately, there's people out there that try and, you know, gain access for the wrong reasons. So
Right, right. I
Yeah.
know, because banks, I know what they're doing changes to protect themselves and, you know, and to protect their customer.
Yeah.
You know, and now it takes, you know, a few minutes to pay a bill, because I pay online
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And I'll tell you, they're protective, you know, the protective activity is good though.
Yeah,
It is, even though it takes longer to pay a bill sometimes.
yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
It is good.
That's for sure.
Yeah, so we pretty much touched base on the scams. There's a lot of scams out there, just be alert, you know. So we want to talk a little bit about kind of identity theft and how that
Go
happens.
right ahead.
And the main thing is how your identity's taken recently is just going through someone's trash. You know, you leave a ton of stuff in your trash, credit card receipts, credit card statements, you know, personal information in your trash. So these thieves are very smart. They can pull your trash and 2 or 3 times and get all your stuff and get all your account numbers. Don't have pre-approved credit cards sent to you in the mail. Because what happens is we've had a bunch of times is people's trash and mailboxes have been hit. You know, say they see the mail guy coming through and they come in behind them.
Oh,
And they
my
come and scoop
word.
the mail. So you may have a pre-approved credit card or some other banking information right there. They swipe it and next thing you know, they have a little more information on you. They try to steal your identity.
I know
That's
my-
more
yeah.
localized, and we haven't seen that too much. But you know, when you go out to eat with your credit card, you know, kind of watch how they're swiping it. You know, they could be swiping it at a base station, or they could be a little skimmer that they use and skimming it that way.
I know
what
my
I mean?
husband won't let me put an envelope with even our address on it and,
Yeah.
you know, account
Yeah.
numbers or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
He says, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
don't do that, rip it all up. Rah,
yeah,
rah, rah.
yeah,
But,
exactly.
yes, yes.
And then, you know, if you are a victim of identity theft, we call your local police.
Right.
We do have a identity theft packet that we offer. Shows you some do's and don'ts with identity theft that we've somewhat talked about today. You know, we can call the Federal Trade Commission. That's a federal agency that deals with identity theft. Social Security Administration, the FBI, if we need to, if your identity's getting really for a lot of money. Those are some agencies that will help you along with us if you are identity theft or in that situation. But protect those passwords and PINs. If you go to a convenience store, you go somewhere else, watch someone peeking over your shoulder. You got to be cognizant of people trying to steal your PIN. You know what I mean? Wherever you go. So when I go to the store anywhere, I cover my PIN and punch it in. Cover your PIN.
That's a
what I
good
mean?
idea.
If you go to an ATM, they have the camera up there. Cover your PIN. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Very good
there's a lot of
idea.
dishonest people. There's a lot of desperate people out there that are looking make a quick buck, and we want to helpfully protect people from becoming a victim.
You know, seniors are so trusting because in their generation, younger, and that includes me, you know, we didn't have to think and worry about this like
Yeah.
we do today. And so, you know, we give out information much easier than you would, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's a changing world. It really
Yeah.
is
Yep.
financially.
Yeah, it's a big
Absolutely.
business out there. It's millions and
That's
millions
what
of
I
dollars
mean.
of
Yes.
are losing, and it's the folks like us that are getting victimized.
Yes.
And it's the reason why you're paying high credit card fees and stuff like that, because the banks and all these other credit card agencies, they're writing it off. The merchants that are benefiting from it, they're getting paid, and they have some criminal somewhere that's reaping the benefits of all this. And in a lot of cases, little to no prosecution. It's so hard to find, so.
Oh,
But,
my word.
Yeah.
That's something else.
Yeah. Well, I know a big theme has been technology that we've been talking about, but you know, as Officer Buckley had mentioned, you know, protect your passwords, personal information. You know, if people go, you know, to the library, I mean, you know, we have obviously a very nice brand new library. It's very nice. You know, you go and I don't know if too many people do any online banking, but it's something as simple as your email address. A lot of times it'll say save email or save password or username. You want to make sure you don't do that. You know, make sure you don't leave it logged in. You know, people get busy. They have a lot of stuff on their mind. You know, you want to make sure that, you know, if you log in on some form of, you know, a computer or phone or something, that you log out, that you don't really save passwords, because all someone has to do is go on the computer, you know, say you're in a rush and you forget something, or you get distracted with a phone call and you're logged into some banking, you know, website at the library, and then you get up and then someone comes up and pulls it up and all your banking information is there. So just little steps like that. And then with the technology, you know, you can figure out a lot about people. You can pretty much Google anything these days. So we will get, you know, phone calls, or, you know, someone will, you know, call and say, oh yeah, you know, this is so-and-so, kind of along the lines of a scam, but also protecting your identity, where they'll try and get your social security number. They'll try and get all these different things about you, but they know a lot as well. They'll say, oh yeah, you live here and your husband or your wife is this, and oh yeah, your kid is this age and you live at this address and your date of birth, and you're like, wow, this is legitimate. This is someone from my bank or whatnot. Oh yeah, can you confirm your social security number? Oh yeah, sure, here you go. And then they have your social security number, they have all this information, and it sounds legitimate, and they're off with your information, and it seemed very, legitimate, like as an actual person, very professional. And unfortunately, that's a way they can access your information.
Do you find that with teenagers, are teenagers very alert about all this? Younger people, let's say, high school students, or do they get scammed a lot? Are they wiser?
I mean, from my experience, most of the people that I've seen with scams have usually been, people that are like 40 and above, usually,
Okay.
usually adults. I don't know if it's because people feel that they have more money to maybe access, or if kids don't really do a lot of online banking per se. But in my experience, it's mostly been, older adults that have gone and scammed. I don't know if you've had the same.
Yeah, you're correct with that
experience.
statement, that, a lot of the senior citizens and middle-aged people are the ones getting scammed. It's not so much the high school kids and middle-aged 20
Okay.
to 20 to 30.
Yes.
Kids are very up on technology, so they're kind of experts. There's stuff that high schoolers and college kids know, and I don't consider myself to be super old, and I'm like, what is that? So, but yeah, they're usually pretty up on technology, so you don't see them getting scammed as much.
It might be nice to have like a program for people, if you people invited people some night to come down to the station and learn about all this.
Yeah.
Because I think it's growing. I do.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yes, and that's tragic.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, we just do have public service announcements that we put out occasionally in the newspapers and stuff like that. Just today, I put something on Next Door Neighbor. We have like 1,000 residents that are involved with that. I just put something out, just, taxis and its IRS, watch the IRS scam, and it went through kind of how they operate, because they're convincing. They're very convincing. And we've had people lose significant amounts of money cleaning out bank accounts for these types of situations. So
That is
they're out
sad.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very sad.
We also do post, our information and, in some contacts and tips and whatnot at places like Davis Road or the Senior Center. I think we've had a talk with some seniors down on Davis Road, excuse me, about the different, what we were talking about, different, ways that people commit fraud
Good.
and identity
Good.
theft. So I know that
Yeah,
we had a pretty
several
good-
years ago, myself
that.
and DA Marion Ryan put on an event down at the Senior Center. There's probably about 50 people there. It was a
Wonderful.
it was great, great event. A lot
Wonderful.
of good information out there. Also, if you are going to be doing any internet transactions, we do have an internet safe zone at the Hopkinton Police Department where it's on camera. So, for example, you're selling a computer, or one of your grandson or your daughter selling a computer, you can pass the word out that we do have an internet safe zone. And how it works, we have a camera in our station. So you pull in, for example, I'm selling my computer to you. We arrange on a date to sell it. So tomorrow at 1 o'clock, meet me at the Hopkinton Police Department, I'll sell you my computer. So when you pull in, I pull in, we have a transaction. And it's on video, and hopefully it's on the up and up. But you got to watch out those internet transactions, because there's scams be out there too. People will give you bogus checks. People will, insufficient funds. People will sell stolen computers, stolen property on these internet, on these things, on these some of these sites. So you got to be careful. You buy anything over the internet, be very careful. You don't want to be giving out your address, where you live, and stuff like that. So, some of these safety tips that you can use: don't give your address, use the internet safe zone. Make sure you're dealing in cash, not so much, credit cards, not too, stuff like that, because there's stolen credit cards out there. There's a lot of stolen stuff out there that's being sold as genuine. So that's an issue too.
Well, we're so fortunate to have you, the people could call. We're so fortunate that you people are really on top of it. And, you know,
Yeah, well, thank you. You know, one thing we always want people to do is give us a call if they see something. And,
Very good.
It's the federal program national-wide. To see something, say something. You know, with the marathon coming up in April, you see something suspicious, let us know. You know, and that goes all year long. We want people working together with the police department. If you see something, say something. Whether someone walking on Main Street, someone's in your neighborhood, someone just doesn't look right, give us a call. We'll come down and just say hello to the person, just find out what they're doing in your neighborhood. You get that gut feeling when you're driving down the street, hey, that guy doesn't belong here. Or I've never, I wonder who that kid is. You know, it could be, and then what they do is when they break into homes, they drop people off, they walk around. So that's one of the MOs of B&E people is they get a few people come in a car, they drop a few people off, they go behind the house and break in, then the car picks them up in 2 minutes later. So be cognizant of that. And let me tell you, we're one of the safest communities in the Commonwealth. We don't have that many breaks in town. You know, we're out in the neighborhoods, talking to people, stuff like that. So we're always down the senior center. That's one of my favorite places to go meet up with people.
so you have a
And,
good relationship
Yeah.
with the
Yeah,
people
yeah,
in Hopkinton.
We want people to feel that they can approach us and not be intimidated, you know, and we're here for the community and, you know, appreciate everybody's support.
Well, we're at the end of the show, and I just want to thank you so much. And I know our dear people are thankful also for this moment, because it's an awareness, an important awareness, and we have to stay on top of it and learn about it.
Yeah,
And I
that's
just
for
want to
sure.
thank you so much, Officer Schofield and Officer
Yeah,
Buckley.
our
Thank
pleasure.
you
Thank
for
you for having
coming
us.
today.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you
we
very
hope
much.
that you have enjoyed this and good listening skills, right? And you take care and you have a good night. And thank you for watching.
United Way fights for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in every community. Will you?